X-Pac 12360, featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360, everyone. A little bit later, going to be joined by Dave Lagana, who is
a huge part
the maker
of the National Wrestling Alliance.
Right.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, sometimes for a simple word, I'll search for a simple word in my head to come up, I'm thinking maker, producer,
Creator,
the creator of 10 pounds of gold.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, which is, to me, deserves awards.
It's been amazing.
Yes.
He is the vice president of the National Wrestling Alliance and also Lightning One Productions, who created all of the 10 pounds of gold, which has been an amazing thing for a year now. Yeah.
Thanks, Johnny.
You got
Usually we have that shit all,
Oh, we had it. We just want to make them wait.
Sorry, Dave. I forgot to figure out what your actual job title is.
We got it.
All I know is you're intricate part of NWA, and they couldn't do it without you. So, anyways, when a little bit later we're going to talk to Dave, and we're going to talk about the NWA anniversary show coming up, and I want to say it's in October 21st,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be in Nashville at the Fairgrounds, a place I know very well, and so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about 10 pounds of gold. Just there's a lot of things I want to talk to Dave about, and just about the landscape of wrestling industry in 2018,
and of course the future of the NWA. I think we're all intrigued. So
yeah, for sure. And what he thinks. Anyway, we'll save it for Dave.
Yeah.
So anyways, there's a few things going on in wrestling I think maybe we could talk about. You guys want to?
Yeah, we can get started obviously with one of the biggest news that was definitely trending on Twitter, which is another step towards the women's evolution, which I think is personally awesome, being a woman myself. And it is Renee Young has officially joined the Raw commentating team. She has replaced Jonathan Coachman, which I don't know, maybe some people saw it coming, some people didn't see it coming, but he is going to be getting a new spot on WWE. We don't know exactly what yet, but Renee Young is officially a part of the team.
Yeah, and so as soon as she's filled in for somebody
a couple weeks ago, she filled in for Coach. He was doing some Golf Channel stuff.
Yeah, she crushed it, and everyone was so happy for her, and including myself, and a lot of us said so on Twitter.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that had anything to do with anything, but it's no surprise to me that smart people in the WWE realize this is a really good move, and it's not just because it is part of it's obviously the empowerment of women, but she's really good at it.
Yes.
That's the number one thing here, to me, not the number one thing, but it's right up there. Because, you don't want people being put in positions just because they're a woman. Because I don't think that does any good for the movement at all. So, you get capable women that are really good at what they do, and you give them a shot to do things. And that's what this is, and it's great. And I hope she continues to do a great job.
Coming from a commentary perspective, when you're in the third chair, it's a different role than the second and the first. Obviously, Michael Cole being the lead, you got to basically be the main storyteller, and then Corey Graves, he's the one that's going to chime in with his personality. Being the third chair, you have to be in the moment. You have to yes and, you have to know how to improv. Renee can do all of that, and she's knocking it out of the park. She has such a unique, distinct view, and I don't know if Jonathan Coachman really ever had his footing in that third chair.
I don't know if he ever had a chance to get it. He wasn't really in it long. He was in it for a few months, right?
Yeah.
But
with the way you just broke it down now, it sounds like Coach would be more fitted for the second chair, and giving his personality and adding his little quips of things past interactions he's had with wrestlers that have come back up. Like when he would do ESPN and The Rock would show up and they'd always hint at oh yeah, remember we used to be on Raw together kind of thing.
And he's a great lead anchor, and I think that's what he's going to be going to for the pay-per-view kickoff shows. I think he'll be leading those.
That's what I read.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. And yes, Coach is very good at that type of thing.
Absolutely.
Very good. because he was great on SportsCenter. So good on that.
I think the cool part about this too is that Renee has been put in so many different positions. She's been backstage reporter, she's been hosting the panels, and each thing that she's done has absolutely knocked it out of the park. And the cool thing too is that I feel like with her, I mean, obviously I don't know who they're gonna have replace her on the pre-show panels. I'm personally hoping that it'll be Charlie, just because I do feel that now there's going to be more doors opening for the girls that were kind of below her on the scale, I guess you can say. But I think Charlie would do a great job on that spot, and I would love to see Kayla Braxton move up to take Charlie's spot. And I kind of feel like with that sort of like push, I feel like Renee Young is paving a very nice way for a lot of the ladies that are working hard, not just because they're ladies, but because they're actually really good at their job.
And also, excuse me. And also, to let everyone know that these aren't the only positions that can be filled by women in the WWE. You can do that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, there's just a lot to this. And, oh, shit, now I can't remember what my thought was.
Well, there's other positions, and anyone who's surprised that Renee Young is doing a great job, they clearly didn't watch Talking Smack. I mean, that show...
I was going to say, that's what it was. Yeah. So, like you were saying, Denise, like the other things she's done in recent memory have all been really good, and it made me think of Talking Smack, because they knocked that out of the park, and the company was like, "Oh wait, you can't do that," you know, and then they took it from them. Was it Daniel Bryan and Renee, right? It
was great.
Yeah, it was too good apparently.
That's actually a fair point. And that's the thing, it's all about being in the moment. Live television is such a different animal, and she's proven that she can do it. Corey Graves obviously is amazing, and Michael Cole is a legend, so she fits right in with them, and I think their chemistry is only going to get better.
And she's I could tell by listening to her, she's not gun shy out there. She's just throwing it out there regardless. So good for her. Good for you, Renee.
You could almost hear Corey Graves smiling at some of the times she gives it back to him, because you could tell he enjoys it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it play out. Well, another thing that we were talking about last week a lot, which we did an entire show on, is All In.
Yes.
And obviously, we touched base on some of the numbers back last week, but now we have a clearer view of what the numbers actually are. As we know, the fans and everybody, the wrestlers, everybody has been raving about All In, but now the numbers are officially in, and here's what it is. So in total amount of tickets that were sold were 11,263 tickets. At the gate, they made $458,000 plus $100 at the gate alone. Right. And they sold every single piece of merch, which I think is awesome. So I believe, Johnny, you mentioned that they actually had a really, really long line, one of the longest lines that you've seen.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you there, Denise, but I just remember when you were talking about your experiences at Long Beach New Japan show. It was a similar situation. Yeah. Did you see any of it?
Oh, when I first got to the arena, I thought, man, people are really hungry. They go, no, that's the merch line.
The merch line. Yeah, because I was like, is this the beer line? When Scott Hall and I were walking towards the elevator to go up to the suites, and so we had to walk by the merch line, and it was like, oh God, geez. I was thinking, man, these people really like their beer. And then I looked over, and it was the merch line, and they only had one merch table.
They only had one?
Yeah, it's what it looked like.
Oh,
well, there was only one huge line, and halfway through the show, there was still a line that was almost out the door.
And that's the first mistake that New Japan made at their first Long Beach show, not at the Pyramid, the one prior, where they only had the one, and then we talked about it, and then the next Long Beach show had more stands, I believe maybe 2 or 4, who knows, and obviously the lines were still lengthy, but not as long, and then fast forward to their Cow Palace show, and they had a lot more stands. I mean, obviously, that was a whole different ballgame. They were still crowded. Do you know
if they sold everything, like ring canvas, turnbuckles?
They sold everything.
All of that stuff? Because watching it on TV, I was thinking, like, oh, man, they're going to sell the turnbuckles. Everyone signs them, and then they auction them off. And all the ring skirts and the ring canvas and anything that said All In.
Yeah, because Cody mentioned that's how they were kind of going to pay for the over-the-budget Battle Royal, and all the talent that came in is utilizing everything from All In.
So everything went.
I guess so.
Everything must go.
And so really, truthfully, they could have made way more money than they actually did if they would have had one more merch table. I mean, just think about it. Like, because And obviously that they would have brought more merch. Yeah. So and I was told that High Spots had their best weekend in the history of their company.
Not to mention that Fight TV jumped up a tax bracket. They reportedly made over $1 million between StarCast and All In.
Wow.
So
can
good
you
for
believe
Fight TV.
that? Like, can we believe we're talking about this right now, and we're talking about a non-WWE event that's doing these kind of numbers? And I heard, I read somebody when these numbers were put out go, "Oh, that's not really that good, actually." If you compare it to WWE,
sure,
one of their big shows, but are you effing kidding me? Like, you talk about, like, I see some people, and there's some people on Twitter that I actually follow because I really enjoy some of the stuff they put out, but then they get, and they like, because they don't like this type of thing, and they were shitting on it from the beginning. You know, they were shitting on people for, oh, you got to be an idiot to pay this much for this and that. And it's like, really? Are you shitting on somebody else for paying money for what they like?
Right.
Like, you know, it's just not a good look. It's such a lame ass look. When I mean, yeah, people complain about whatever they want, you know, little things about the show they didn't like. But really, overall, oh my God, it's just so pathetic when I read some of this shit.
And plus, value is subjective. Value is what it means to you. I mean, people would think I'm dumb for having a Weird Al UHF poster framed that I spent $300 on. Guess what? It's value to me. It's the same thing with like All In.
Classic. Like,
you know, people can pay what they think is right for them.
even something as small as TGI Fridays, a major corporate company willing to, we'll have a signing for you guys here in Chicago. Please put us on your ring skirt. Oh, Cracker Barrel wants to be on the ring skirt too. Like, major companies wanted to be involved in this for a reason.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
And I highly recommend everybody go in and watch the Being the Elite from this from All In. It's so interesting to get the perspective from people who are building a show for the first time.
And the 10 pounds of gold that came out of that show was unbelievable. And we're going to talk to Dave about that in a little bit.
And Pro Wrestling Tees also just made under $500,000 for the weekend.
Yeah.
One of the things I did want to add, which I'm happy Jimbo brought up, was the company perspective, because you know, it's no secret that in the past, you know, companies like when it came to WWE and NASCAR, when it came to advertisement numbers and how much money they were getting, we know that NASCAR was getting a little bit more just because advertisers maybe saw the difference in value in terms of the fans and stuff like that, which I know this is crazy, but that's what advertisers look at. And I thought that with this, it's very interesting because now I feel like you got to be absolutely like not smart if you're not seeing the potential in advertising within the wrestling community and, you know, helping that grow and whatnot, as we're seeing with the numbers that we just heard.
I call those people dipshits.
I didn't want to say anything mean. That's why I just said not smart.
You were very regal in that description.
Like somebody was, the same person I'm thinking about right now on Twitter was like, make no mistake about it. All In was a show backed by corporate this and ROH. No, it wasn't. They got on board after the fact. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's absolute bullshit. Yeah, they supported the show and they gave it their blessing. But they didn't put any money up.
No.
None of that shit. Like, they try again.
This was Cody and the Bucks taking a chance on themselves and their friends.
Yeah. Awesome. And one of the cool things too that I feel like a lot of backstories are coming out now in terms of how the Bucks, you know, kind of sort of got to this position, because on the Observer, Dave mentioned a little piece about how there was a story. I forgot which of the Bucks it was, but he couldn't even afford to buy himself a sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
Did you read that? Yes.
I filmed that actually.
Okay, there you go. So you could probably tell us about that.
So when they were under contract in TNA, they were at the airport and they went to an Arby's and Nick's card wouldn't even work.
His credit card too.
Yeah, so like they're wrestling on live TV, like superstars in a major company, and they can't even afford.
You're talking about TNA though.
Well,
there were a lot of guys on I don't want to say guys. A lot of talent under contract for TNA that had to get like help from the government.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I'm not shitting you. Government assistance.
I had heard a story at one point at the TNA Knockouts champ. We're talking back in the day. A Knockouts champion was also working at Sunglass Hut. You know, it's tough times back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, so anyway, so I just thought that with that story and then kind of giving way to what they did with All In, it's kind of like, well, you just got to hand it to them. So anybody that can say, like, you can nitpick, like you said, you can nitpick the show, but the matter of fact is they pulled it off together.
What's going to happen for All In 2?
Yeah. So once again, come on, everyone. It's just a really bad look on you guys' part.
And you were there. The vibe and the energy. You can't help but smile when you think of All In.
It was heaven.
It really was.
It was heaven for a wrestling fan. So.
Yes, it was.
All right. So what else? Anything else before we take a break and come back with Dave?
Well, one of the things that you also wanted to talk about was when you were on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, one of the subjects that came up was NXT talent versus WWE talent in terms of how, you know, some people are saying that NXT talent is a little better than WWE. Yeah. I don't know.
Thank God Denise is here to tell me what I wanted to talk about. My brain dead ass can't remember shit. So, no, it was from, you know, I was on Steve's show. It was a couple weeks ago. He came by the house and, you know, we podcasted. And, you know, it's just one of the things we talked about. And, you know, just discussing, like, it was almost like a candid conversation, not on the air. You know, like, you know, Steve doesn't usually, you know, tip his hand that much about his thoughts on, you know, when it comes to anything that might be critical of a WWE, you know, product. But so yeah, we were, and not saying that was critical. It was just our observations, you know, and all of this based on, you know, a backlash of people like saying, okay, we've had enough. We don't like what you're doing here, so we're gonna go, you know, get behind whoever else wants to give us, you know, what we want, you know, and it's when you're trying to please all, like, everyone in your demographic, like, it's just, it doesn't work that well. Like, you do your best, and I understand what they're doing on, you know, the Raws and the SmackDowns now. You know, like, if you watched last night, you know, they had the great segments, like, with the kids, you know, with their little superstar personas, and that's the kind of stuff that you get to have, you know, by not catering so much towards the, you know, I want to say the hardcore fans, but, you know, you can, like, we sacrifice some and you gain something by being able to have, and I know some people are going, what does that have to do with that? But it kind of does. Like, you know, you get to do things with Special Olympics, and if the product is kind of, he use the term watered down, is that, I don't know, but just where it's a little bit more, God, I don't even know how to put it.
What do you think it's maybe because, you know they already have, like, the ones that have been fans for a long time, like the grown-ups, they already have us, you know, they already know that no matter what they put out there, they're still going to have us, but maybe it's more because they're trying to raise the kids in terms of them, to make them develop into lifelong fans and so on and so forth, so that's why.
You have to indoctrinate the children at a really young age.
And also, when it comes down to it, people got to remember, NXT is 1 hour a week, Raw is 3 hours, SmackDown is 2 hours. You know, it's a lot harder to make 5 hours of television versus one.
Yeah, I know, but at the same time, that excuse only goes so far. Okay, like, yeah, because even if NXT was to make 3 hours a week, they're still, you know, taking a different approach to it, and the way they're presenting their storylines are more simplistic and easy to follow, and that's a good thing.
Sure.
And the style, the in-ring style is different, you know, and the enthusiasm for the shows, like, it's just, it's night and day.
Yeah.
It really is.
They have an amazing staff down there too.
Personally, I think that it's the fact that at NXT, they are allowed a lot more freedom. After Raw, it's still developmental, so they're able to add to their movesets. They're able to try new moves versus, you know, in the main roster, they don't have that freedom. So honestly, I feel like sometimes when people say, like, oh, yeah, NXT's better because they're just better. No, there's a lot of factors, I think, that play into that and why, you know, certain people thrive on the main roster or don't thrive on the main rosters because it's a different ballpark, I think. And I think it's a little bit unfair for people just to say, oh yeah, no, whoever's on the main roster just sucks or whatever. No, it's just that there's different limitations and different things they're allowed to try out.
That's right.
Can I add something real quick?
Please do.
One of my favorite things about NXT is the fact that we get to see people grow. We get to see people evolve from when they get to when they get right to the door to right before they ship out. I think Andrade Cien Almas is a perfect example of that. And I think an example on the main roster that we got to see was Jinder Mahal's title run. Because when he came back, he started sort of as an enhancement on Raw, moved to SmackDown, and then he worked his ass off to get to that WWE Championship, and we got to see him work and improve every single week, and I thought it made him a more interesting and dynamic champion. And it's a similar thing that we're getting in NXT with the entire roster, where we got to see Patrick Clark now move on to being the Velveteen Dream and being this amazing talent of well-roundedness, and I think it goes for more talent on NXT than it does for the main roster.
And Elias, another good example.
Elias, same, yeah. For some reason, it didn't work in NXT, but it really works on the main roster.
Like you said about EC3, EC3 might not translate to NXT as well as he would on the main roster if they just put him right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's one of those guys.
Some people just have that character that's made for like the 3-hour live show instead of the 1-hour tape.
Like Bobby Roode's a guy I figured would do way better on the main roster. But man, they are just doing everything wrong with poor Bobby. God damn. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off on the Bobby Roode tangent, but I'm a big Bobby Roode fan, and like,
same.
I'm sorry, I don't want to see Bobby Roode like glad handing the people and like baby facing. That's I don't like that.
Unless this is going to turn
People
into
don't
him
either.
beating up Chad Gable and becoming heel Roode.
Come on, though.
Yeah.
That's a long way to go for something like that.
And he had Kim.
Let me go fool everyone and make them think I'm a good guy just so I can attack this guy. Why don't you just beat the shit out of him?
Right.
Going all the way around the block to just cross
going
the street.
around the block 3 times to get to the store across the street.
Well, it's like even like this. For example, Alexa Bliss wasn't showcased very much on NXT, and now look at her on the main roster. And then compare her to Bayley's career in NXT, and now to her career on the main roster.
Wow, that's a really
So
good point, Denise.
there you go.
Denise
Nailed
killing it.
Oh,
Wow, that was perfect.
All right.
all right.
I wish they would pull back on throwing Ronda out there and in matches on TV. They got to protect her more. Not that she's not doing great, but they got to protect the commodities better. Anyways, all right.
We'll come back with Dave Lagana.
That's it. Be right back. Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. Joining us right now from Nashville, Tennessee via Skype. He's the vice president of the National Wrestling Alliance. And he's also the creator of, in my opinion, should be award-winning 10 Pounds of Gold. It's amazing. We have Dave Lagana.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hey, Dave. Hey, man. Congratulations on everything. I mean, I know we've talked, and it's not like, okay, this is the first time we've talked in forever, but just publicly, I just want to congratulate you, because when you were in here, when this all like kind of first started, it was like, I don't know, when were you in here? When were you in here?
It was right at Cauliflower Alley. It was around May. I was in with you guys.
Yeah, and you know, from then, even from just then until now, wow. I just want to say, wow, man! Like, congratulations.
Thank you. It's been interesting to go back. Like, I'm in the process now of finishing the 35th 10 Pounds of Gold from this past weekend, and sort of the fallout from All In. And it's almost like these 3 different chapters of this first year. I mean, it's not even a year yet, and you know, from the Tim Storm, and you know, Sean, you were there for the first time match we did, and you know, there's all these different chapters of this book that we're writing, and it's kind of daunting when you, as far as like how far we've come so quickly, and you know, and it's just Billy and I and Nick and Tim, and it's such a small team that it kind of shows, if you really kind of focus on one thing and get it right, what you can get right.
Yeah. And when it all first started, and even after the first 10 Pounds of Gold was out, I was still wondering what the vision was going to end up looking like. And so far, I'm just going to go talk about the episode that you put out from All In. Like, that came out right after All In.
Yeah.
Man, and as great as all the the 10 pounds of gold were prior to that, like to me that was taking it to another level. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I knew all the way back actually from before, from when Nick and I came in that day. I'm trying to remember where we were and sort of the timeline of everything. This was all agreed upon finally 2 days before the press conference as far as what we really were going to do. Even when we were in and Denise asked, are you guys going to be all in?
Right.
We knew we were going to do something. Obviously, my long relationship with Dusty and Cody and all that stuff, and we wanted to help. And so I knew that we were going to put in as much effort as possible to promote that event because I knew it was going to be great, and so did Billy, that we would over deliver as far as what that would be. So that day of, I brought two high quality guys who knew how to shoot pro wrestling, so I could maximize getting as much as possible. And what you saw in that episode is probably 7% of what we shot.
Oh wow!
Whoa!
Yeah.
So when are we going to see? When are we going to see some more of that?
Well, it's gonna roll out in different parts. Like Cody joked on Twitter, wishing there's a full documentary on Pharaoh and his day, and the search for formats. There's a lot of little stories. There's obviously much deeper dive as far as what the Bucks and them pulled off. It's and there's so much that you guys haven't seen in the last year. Even down as I think Sean, we talked about privately, the carnies who tried to steal belts from us.
Yeah.
And, the footage I have of that, we're the goal of 10 pounds of gold is to give sort of the week to week evolution of the brand. So when you look back at it, and I talked to some people in the UK, they're like, man, I just started watching it with the Cody stuff. I said, well, the way it's designed is you can watch it, you can pick it up anywhere and start anywhere,
That's
and it's
right.
all tied together. So that day I knew I brought Kenny Johnson, who directs a lot of Gabe's Evolve stuff and his own documentaries, and a guy named Lex Librand, who used to work at that thing called Flow Slam. I think we all remember this. 6 months they were around. And, these guys have had great thoughts, and we just simply, I think I put Kenny with Cody and Lex with Nick, and, what we got, they went out and got, and we all knew what we wanted. And, and I think that was the goal of this whole project, and Nick talks about it and Cody talks about it. We all knew exactly we wanted to create the big fight feel, the UFC boxing event, and every decision we made was to execute that. And even from the walks and, the aftermath and
the entourages that came out with each wrestler, I thought that was I love that touch.
Yeah, DDP and
loved
Tommy
it.
Dreamer.
Yes.
And everybody who was there was a part of this story,
right.
From all the way down to Cody's brother-in-law, Kevin, and his father-in-law, Otis, and, Tim Storm, and everyone was like, why is Daivari there?
Yes. For those that don't know, why was he there?
Okay, sure. So Daivari was there because of his. If there was no Daivari, there would be no Nick Aldis.
Okay.
I assume some fans would say, well, why did he do that? But, Daivari kept Nick sane for a long time at TNA and helped to sort of guide him and get him there. Everybody that was involved in this project, from soup to nuts, as far as our inclusion, had a part in that being there. And, it's the weird cliche of everybody involved in that match, too, at one point or another decided to say, screw the traditional, we're going to bet on ourselves.
Yep.
Everyone. And from Billy and I, from leaving TNA, to Nick leaving TNA and basically being out of the business, to Cody leaving WWE, we all had something to prove. And, everyone's like, oh, what a moment when Cody won. The moment that to us, I think as a team, feels the strongest was when the bell rung.
Yes.
And for whatever it was, 45 seconds, the crowd simply honored that moment of here's this dead brand, Deadspin, Billy Corgan buys oldest and deadest brand in pro wrestling. To have it be literally 11 months in to get that reaction for a title match, it was so overwhelming that, to me, that was the greatest success point of the match. Cody winning, yes, the crowd was going to go crazy, but for them to be that excited for the bell,
yes,
that was amazing.
And that's something that you shared. You didn't have to tune into 10 pounds of gold. You shared that in one of your tweets, just that 30 or 40 second, moment in time. where like the people were all just soaking it in, and it was simmering, and the place was like getting ready to erupt before they even touched, and they took their time and they let it breathe. Yeah, you know.
We all as a group have collectively agreed all of our favorite match moments is Hogan Rock.
Yeah,
and like 2 weeks in advance, we're sitting like, that's the one. That's the match where we all go, man, if it just sounds like this, and then it did to a point, and you're just like, it's just kind of like, again, I hate to say validation, but proof of concept that you can make something feel important if you treat it to be important. And I think, Sean, you know this better than anybody, the overthinking of the business ends up taking away from the fans, not from the talent.
You're not kidding, man. Holy crap.
And this was so they never touched, they never MF'd each other, there was no big angle. It was Cody wanted to win the title for his dad, and Nick wanted to win the title for his son.
That's right.
What a simple story.
Yeah. No, like, oh, I'm trying to like steal your girl, or I'm trying to like all these little things that, you know, everybody thinks you have to add to a wrestling storyline to make it, you know, compelling.
Yep. Well, it's to me, it's I think because it's gone so far that if you literally start at the beginning and think about how everyone, this is the world we live in now. I joke that your mom is now a content creator because she posts on Facebook. Like, your mom's not running angles on her Facebook, though when she does, the comment section in your, the family stuff gets pretty heated. This is how people consume content now. Yep. And the old way of the story doesn't end at 11:05 on Monday nights. Right. It continues, and that sort of was our approach.
Damn it, Dave! Now I can't get out of my head. Your mama shoots angles on Facebook. Like, is that a your mama joke or some shit?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But Dave, you mentioned having, obviously it's a small team, but what can't go understated is the intricate thinking and the detail leading up to this match. Even, you mentioned the entourages. You look at the Cody entourage, everyone's wearing the jumpsuits. And then on the Aldis entourage, everyone is dressed to the nines, including Tim Storm, who did such an amazing job to carry the brand after you guys took over the NWA. I mean, there's so many things that I think just added to the mystique of the entire event.
Yeah, and this is where we all trust each other. Cody came to us with the entourage. He's like, I'm going to have these guys. Cool. So one of the things when I went down to shoot the Cody workout stuff, he was like, I'll have all the entourage guys there, except Dreamer. So great. So he had the jacket. Cody got the jackets made. I didn't need to sign off on a jacket design. We look at this like UFC. Everybody's got their own camp, and everyone is truly independent contractors in this. So Nick also picked his guys, and he came to us and said, what do you think about Tim? I said, Tim should definitely be there.
Yes.
And Tim deserved to be there because, again, without Tim, I don't know if we'd be here. We'd be somewhere. But for Tim betting on us and us betting on him, he deserved that moment of walking out in front of probably the most people he's ever walked in front of his life. And
he looks great walking out. He looks great walking out there in a suit, doesn't he, Dave?
Oh, he is a professional.
Yeah.
And you can, and he's a good representative of the company, does great media. He will always have a spot with us where all the guys that wanted their hands out when we bought the brand and wanted six-figure paychecks, Tim just wanted an opportunity. And I told the story in the UK that Tim turned down $25,000 to drop the title to somebody who didn't deserve it because they wanted their name on that list. And once Tim came to us and said he wasn't going to do it, we knew what kind of quality human he was.
Yeah, and to add to the, Tim Storm, a couple of months ago, we were going to have Nick Aldis and Championship Wrestling from Arizona. He had a flight issue. Last minute, Tim Storm saved the day and came to Arizona and was an utmost professional. And what a match he had with Avalon. Like, you can't say enough great things about Tim.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, that poor, he worked somewhere, had to drive 3.5 hours to an airport, didn't sleep, got on the plane, came, wrestled, and got on a plane home that same day. I mean, like, and he's a 54-year-old school teacher. This isn't a 22-year-old kid hoping for a break. This is a guy that understands the opportunity that's in front of him and has never even once complained.
Well, Dave,
that's the great part.
Dave, from a storyteller's perspective, I want to know, so when I was watching the 10 Pounds of Gold series, one of the things that I noticed was all the little storylines and the little elements of everybody where you had Nick and his son, you had Cody and Brandy, like all those tiny little stories all composed and kind of added to this, event. For you, I want to know personally, in putting that together, what was one of your favorite aspects of those storylines? And for you, what does it feel like to be part of the creative that is driving the series,
Well, the responsibility I took on was trying to take everyone's real stories and make them feel as they are real. Like there's one moment in there that it didn't land as strong as I had hoped because we ended up not using his call, but like Timmy Baltimore. And if you know the Timmy Baltimore story and what it meant for, we got in a situation where we needed someone to call the match. And, as Cody and I talked about it, he brought up that he was going to have Timmy Baltimore call, I think, SCU and the Briscoes. And Cody told me, and DDP's involved, like Cody brought Brent. He has it on an Instagram post, so I'm going to butcher the story if I don't tell it well. But I know Brent has to have a pretty serious surgery here in the next month. And once Cody told me the story, it's like, he's your friend. He should call your match. So the scene that you see where Brent finds out he's calling the match, he didn't know. That was real.
Brent being Timmy Baltimore?
Yeah, Timmy Baltimore, yeah.
Okay.
And so, like, little moments like that mean the world to everybody, to me, is what we're going for. Like, I missed the phone call to Tim Storm because Nick called him after, and I wanted to shoot it.
Right.
Because Tim started to cry, because it was so important to him that he helped get us here, that us including him meant the world to him. Like being able to tell these stories, and Nick's son is so important to him. Like the fact that I try not to take him places that take him away from his son if it's not worth his time. All of these people, the Brandy Cody interviews, I did them separately. They didn't it was not like they listened and heard what the other said. Like I kept them apart. The same with Nick and Cody. Nobody heard any of the interviews. So it became our responsibility here to make sure these stories all felt good. And again, there's so much that we didn't use. Like I interviewed all the Nightmare Family guys.
Right.
It just it wasn't germane to it, to the moment. And, again, being a small operation, it's just us here. You know what I mean? I don't have Kevin Dunn's 63 editors and all that stuff. So for people to respond the way it is, to me, it's such a personal, I stopped editing this because I wanted to do this interview with you guys. Nice. But like every minute of our day goes into this and everyone's like, well, but when are you guys going to do more? Like, we want you to enjoy this so much that you want more, not just more for the sake of more.
Right. Hey, so you were talking earlier about the trust that you have between each other, and so you put out your episode, and you don't even have to run it by Cody. Hey, how is this look? Or it's just all trust, right? Like he sees it when you put it out, right?
Yeah, and even Billy at this point. As long as he knows, and obviously his tour was massive and took a lot of his time, he would tell me if it's good to go, and then he'd give me notes after the fact. He's like, you could have cut these two things, but he knows I'm not going to put out anything that's bad. You know what I mean? That I think is less than, because it's all of ours, and everybody knows if something is shot, it's fair game. So again, short of being objectionable in sort of taste or gives like there's so much personal stuff that I have shot that I would never use, but I have moments that don't work in the non-kayfabe sense. Do you know what I mean? But I have them, so 10 years from now, they can be used in another way. So we shoot everything and then pick what we believe is best for the timing.
And the proof is in the pudding as far as people enjoying the product. Dave, I don't know how many YouTube subscribers the NWA had when you and Billy took over, but I'm staring at the page right now. It just topped 51,000. And
there was zero. We were handed a company with no social. The oldest pro wrestling brand in history had no social media presence. It had 13,000 Twitter followers, no YouTube page, no Instagram, a Facebook page that had 13,000. When we did the Tim Storm match, it had 16,000 Facebook followers. So
wow,
yeah. So it was zero.
So Dave, has the vision changed? Has it evolved since a year ago?
I think and I went back and listened to one or two interviews that Billy and I did. The vision's been exactly the same as far as everything reflecting on the history of the brand, the legacy of the brand, and the men who held the 10 pounds of gold. Like, that list is everything, and everything we've done has bounced off those two things. So, we've done some, we did Tim Storm and Josephus in an empty arena match, but it was tied to the NWA World's title.
Yeah.
Everything is bounced off of that one theme because to us, that was the important launching point. And our first event on October 21st in Nashville, it's the 70th anniversary show because this is the 70th year of the brand. And, tradition and legacy are buzzwords we'll use at this event. They'll be on the ring skirts because that's what this company stands for and has always stood for. And it's what people have loved, not the carny people that said, oh, I have to hear, I was an NWA promoter in 2003. Cool. What do everyone remember from that period of your booking? You know what I mean? Like, our respect for the men who held the 10 pounds of gold and the people that really built it is what we're building towards.
Hey, so do you have something you guys want to?
Well, I want to know what the difference was shooting 10 pounds of gold with Tim Storm versus Nick Aldis versus now with Cody, like creatively.
Yeah, everybody is different. So, for example, Tim Storm, we use Sam Shaw as his narrator. But once Nick became champion, I found the narrator not necessary. The Cody, this is the first one that really has Cody. But Cody's stories, especially through October 21st, is heavily tied to Nick. So that style would sort of match how we've done those. I approach each episode differently as far as, finding ways so they don't feel repetitive. And I felt the narrator got us in a repetitive sense. So each sort of chapter has a different vibe to it. And I'm literally at this moment was just banging my head on the table trying to figure out the vibe of this one. So my concussion will kick in about 2 hours.
How much creative input does Cody have? Because with being the elite and all the other stuff he does on YouTube and all the other content he creates, does he give you pointers like, hey, let's shoot this way, or I want to be shot like this?
He never asks for how to be shot, but everything he says is from him. We'll just, like he's set. I mean, I just listened to him on JR. He wants to take that title everywhere. He is going to wear it on New Japan, and he is going to take it everywhere he goes. I'm not with him every day, but he might sleep with the title. You know what I mean? It means that much to him that, he couldn't take it enough places the day after. And I said to somebody, he apologized to me and said, listen, look, I bled on the belt. Like that shows how
you're not the first one.
So, as far as everybody has as much input. So everybody had like the workout was his idea, meaning how he said, I'm going to have this, and this. So he's like, I'm going to do a rival shot. Cool. And then it's up to me to make sure that arrival shot fits the vibe we're going for. We all trust each other. And that's, again, the right point, because we're not also – money is the smallest discussion in this, because I think – and everyone's reaction to it, it's the impact that this is all having, much larger than any financial decision, because the money will come in this world, but the lasting impact of what's happening here is much larger.
Hey Dave.
Wow.
So you were just talking about Cody wanting to take the title everywhere and defend it. Like, is he going to be able to do that? I mean, outside of New Japan and ROH?
There obviously are. He's a contracted Ring of Honor talent.
Right.
There are limitations that happen. But for example, Joe Koff is allowing Cody to appear at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood this Sunday. It's just an appearance. He won't be wrestling, but we'll also be setting the course for what he's going to do move forward. His Ring of Honor contract runs through, I think, January 1st. So picture a world where Cody is a free agent with the NWA World's title.
I totally picture that. Also, like, it would behoove ROH to like kind of let him do these types of things if it means that much to Cody.
Yeah, and he will have he will have an NWA title match at a Ring of Honor event. Yeah. I believe his contract allows him to defend it internationally. So if I know he has some booking, I had a promoter reach out. If he's got shows in December in the UK, they're asking, can we have a title match? And this was all set in I don't want Nick to get lost in any of this, because none of this would have been possible without Nick's commitment to us and Billy and I to really do this. He did this on a promise, not on a guarantee. And again, there's a lesson in this. And, you know, I'll say it here because hopefully a lot of wrestlers listen. Too many guys worry about what they're going to get paid instead of the opportunity they have. And I talked about my opportunity to work for Vince McMahon when I was 24 years old was worth more than the $100,000 I paid to go to college. The exposure you get by learning from somebody like Sean or anybody is worth more than the payday at times. And if you can understand that, you can get a lot further than, well, I need this much or I'm not going to be able to do it, especially when you're going to get better.
I read that. I read just, was it yesterday, where you were talking about how much it, like how you put a value on like the experience
it's
working with Vince. Yes, absolutely.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I understand, and trust me, I understand the economics of being a pro wrestler. And trust me, people pay their dues, but I don't think they really understand the opportunity in front of them when they're around really smart people. And I remember Paul Bearer telling me when he went back to WWE in the later 2000s, he'd just sit in the locker room and nobody would pick his brain or talk to him. And that made me sad.
Yeah.
So like there's such an opportunity to learn from these people. And that's honestly, the series is meant to sort of show the world that I've seen for the last 18 years.
Yeah.
And to give an insight, so maybe somebody learned something from this. And the business is only going to grow and evolve if those inside of it want to. Instead of working each other, we're supposed to work the emotions of the audience. And I think that's what we've succeeded at this year.
Yeah.
Dave, with the 10 pounds of gold and being the elite, do you think that we're going to be seeing more wrestlers and or promotions maybe kind of sort of try their own versions of what you're doing and what the Bucks are doing?
This is not a new concept. I mean, Kevin Steen had a YouTube show years before he went to WWE. The key is consistency. You know, it's why we didn't just do 4 episodes of it. The burden, the pressure, the commitment to do it weekly is why it works. YouTube works because people want to subscribe to channels that give them great content consistently. You can't just do one and then come back 6 months from now. You have to be consistent with the content. And you have to create content inside each vehicle the way people consume it. So YouTube is long form. Everybody feels like, oh, and I've heard people in the business, I don't want to put my stuff up on YouTube because that'll cannibalize TV viewership. But YouTube rewards you for longer pieces. So the Dusty piece was 21 minutes. The average view time on that YouTube video was 12 minutes.
Wow.
Unheard of as far as, you know, that meant every person watched it at minimum half. And, you know, the longer form videos have done amazing on YouTube. Now, I put that on Twitter. No one's going to watch all 21 minutes. That's why I put the shorter clip up to drive people to want to see what's going on. And it's worked. And our growth has been so amazing. And these little bumps from James Ellsworth to, you know, to Cody now, when we work with other talents, both sides grow exponentially.
Yeah. Hey, so Dave, this is one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I was telling them earlier. You know, how do you define a wrestling promotion in the year 2018? And is NWA a wrestling promotion?
Yeah, that's an interesting, and Nick mentioned this in one of the videos, that we're not a traditional wrestling company with 50 wrestlers under contract, you know, running all these live events. We're a promotion, more like a Money Mayweather promotion or who's De La Hoya. You know what I mean? Like, we promote fights, and successfully now have promoted, I would say, 2 really big ones. Like the first Tim Storm fight with Nick was, you know, we got the attention on 2 people that they didn't expect they wanted to see, and it, you know, did X. And now with the Cody one, we're a promotional machine, basically.
Yes.
And in reality, entertainment's not defined.
That's what I was. Yeah.
Go look at traditional entertainment right now, and the shifts going on at giant companies trying to. A sitcom in 1998 had a lot more value than a sitcom in 2010, 2018. So it's all about what the audience wants to watch and how they want to watch it. And the fact that there are a lot of wrestling companies producing a lot of content that people aren't paying attention to. And we've been able to succeed by producing less content and making the content more important.
And while we're talking about promotions, the timing couldn't be more perfect for the 70th anniversary show, October 21st in Nashville. The announcement was just made. Can you give us any insight into the fans, which I believe tickets go on sale this Friday? Can you give us any info on what to expect, perhaps? Because it's an amazing event.
I think, in any good promotion, I think people were taken by surprise by the Cody Nick match. As far as, I think people could say, oh, Cody's going to walk away with the title, but I think people were sort of blown away by the whole spectacle of it. So it's natural to do the rematch as soon as possible, because I think in most sports, like especially MMA, which frustrates me, they do a big fight and then it's years go by, or boxing, Pacquiao and Mayweather, they made them wait for so long. People are into this now, and, we're going to amp it up, and the storytelling is going to change. And the interesting part about the rematch, the first match took place on Cody's home field, and you could look at story points in that match that you could point to. Cody was outside the ring for a long amount of time. Mm-hmm. You could argue the referee had a little thing. Brandy got in the ring in the match. There was a lot of interesting things on Cody's home field that may not ring same as true on the NWA home field, which again, Nick is a contracted NWA talent. So, the idea of Nick taking his rematch on his home turf is very interesting, juxtaposed to the All In stuff. Yeah. Also, we're going to crown our first national champion, or we're going to bring back the national championship.
Are you going to get a retro style belt, or are you going to go with the newer version?
I think, Sean, you might be one of the few people that really enjoy what we're going with the belt.
All right.
Nice.
The belt will have a nod to the past of the NWA, and we aren't going to reveal it until week of show, if not that night, because there's one thing I've learned about wrestling fans: they may or may not have a lot of hot takes on things. So, we're going to have the new championship that week. I look forward to everyone's hot takes, because there will be them. Because the people who do know already have hot takes. Right. Everyone's got an opinion on it, which means I know it's going to work as far as what people want.
Hey,
I'll say this: there's nothing like it right now in pro wrestling as far as a title.
I love it. Hey, do we have any? Can you share with us any of the names that are going to be competing for that national heavyweight title?
It's going to be an eclectic list, and one that is ever growing. I've spoken to a bunch of people, and in fact, the format of the match we're trying to figure out as well. Tournament, this, that, or the other thing. We want to find something that is interesting and also allows for a good variety of talent to participate. So, we'll hopefully have more announcements of that as we get closer. Same with, other matches and such. We wanted to really kind of put all the promotion behind the rematch, the idea we're bringing this title back. And, we are going to have, we just put the ticket pricing online. I think we're doing $70 ringside and then $19.48 as an homage to the year of the founding of the company for general admission.
Wow.
There will also be a VIP meet and greet package that'll be separate from that. We're just building that out as we try and get legends and all that stuff. But we really wanted to make this an experience that, the most overwhelming thing is people reaching out that they'd already bought plane tickets to this, which, if we were to sell out first day, I think it would be so amazing to us, but I'm not going to predict or that's everybody's hope, right? Sell out first day. But, we are pushing that it's a once in a lifetime type event, as far as what we're going to pull off. And we're just really excited to have it.
Dave, where are people going to be able to watch this exactly?
So if you can't make it to Nashville, it'll be on Fight, just like All In was.
Nice.
And we're I think everyone's been really happy with that service. I know I ordered a wrestling pay-per-view last year on it, had no problems. And, my past in wrestling pay-per-views all the way back to the Go Fight Live days, it always was sort of dodgy if it was going to work. But Fight has really stepped up and put technology behind their streaming service. And I know, minus a small hiccup here or there, they've been really good at delivering content to wrestling fans.
I'm very impressed with them. I wasn't as up on what they were doing until All In weekend.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was gonna say, then I realized who actually Fight TV was, and like it was great to see that guy.
Yeah, it's Mike Weber has led a really good team, and they've got really good technology behind it, and streaming that's why being a traditional wrestling company with traditional television isn't just the way, because you tell me a 15-year-old who's watching TV, I'll tell you they're not actually 15. They're probably 65 years old.
Hey, so this is why I brought up what defines a wrestling promotion in 2018, and who's to say what defines it? No one is like that's not for anyone to say. I was giving an example to Mark Donica before we came on the air. Like, okay, in Japan. Okay, because if you would say, because it used to be like, okay, it's not a real wrestling company if it doesn't have TV, doesn't, have a full-time schedule. Says who? In Japan, no one ever said UWF, FMW, Wing. No one ever said those weren't real promotions. They didn't have TV. They ran like once a month or little tours here and there, and they promoted through the magazines and the newspapers and the media.
You use what's in front of you. Here's the best wrestling promotion on the planet as far as non-WWE right now. Two guys, KSI and Logan Paul.
That's
they
right.
Drew 800,000 pay-per-view buys for a boxing match that was not professional boxing. It was and that's the Young Bucks, Cody, what they pulled off. The best pro wrestling promotions right now are the individual talents that invest in themselves. Because the audience feels that. And I did an interview in December talking about this being the authentic era. And all of this energy is based on being authentic. Yep. And, there was the Attitude Era, there was the PG era, but this authentic area, because now you can take a camera and go create what you want that's authentic to you. Mm-hmm. Again, you can put as much fiction or as little fiction as you want, but if you can be the author of this story, you have the ability to do it now.
And also, what's amazing, going back to Fight TV, anyone in the world can watch October 21st. Anyone in the world could watch All In. I'd love to know what the numbers were of international buys versus, because people around the world love All In. They love the NWA, and so it's allowing it to be accessed by so many more people. It's amazing.
It was really cool to be in the UK and have multiple fans want to talk to me, which, it's like they were just like, I love what you guys are doing, and it's just like when I was at WWE, besides Sean not loving me for a few days here or there, most people didn't know who.
I was a dick to everyone.
Once or twice. But most people didn't know who I was, or we were public enemy number one. So to be able to create and not only deal with great talents who are open to it, is an audience that really appreciates it. To me, is what era we live in now.
Yep.
Well, I want to know, with the Madison Square Garden show coming up, are you hoping to have the NWA title defended there?
Yeah, obviously we did a 10 pounds when Billy sold out the Garden, and we would love the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship to be available and defended on any stage imaginable.
Yep.
So if it's Madison Square Garden, if it's the Barclays Center, if it's WrestleMania, if it's the Tokyo Dome, we have put zero limits on how and where, and I think each time we get an at-bat, we're proving our value to be on that stage. Because I remember the announcement happened with All In, everyone's like, oh, Aldis versus Cody? I mean, I guess the moment when Cody wins, I guess that'll be something. And we over-delivered in that moment. And I know we can over-deliver on any stage, because I think our success at what we've been able to do has proven that.
Absolutely.
And so, Dave, as far as the NWA itself and what you guys are thinking, is there like, are you guys particular to one kind of style? You know what I mean? Like, there's different styles worked in independent wrestling these days. Are you guys like looking to stay with more one style, or are you trying to be all inclusive? How is that working?
Well, I think the only style we are beholden to is the best story wins.
Gotcha.
Meaning, like, if you have like there are so many things that I can't wait to explore. And one that I'll bring up that I can't wait to explore, I'm just not sure the timing, is women. Originally when we booked the event, WWE was scheduled to run October 21st. They had a pay-per-view. I don't remember what the name of it was, and it was be head-to-head with us. We were going to run at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon as not to be competing with them. Then they moved it to do that women's pay-per-view. So to me, it's really interesting that they are making a strong effort, one, putting Renee Young on commentary, and two, doing an all-women's pay-per-view, for us to make some sort of statement as we move forward. And it will be an evolving statement as far as women, of how we can present them differently. And I'm looking forward to that challenge. And I know it's a challenge because it's a very polarizing subject, and I think one that I think we can tackle in a way that WWE won't.
Cool.
Wow.
Any women you have your eye on?
Yes.
Anyone you want to share with us?
No.
Okay.
Perfect.
But I mean, that's the thing is their story will be authentic to them. Yeah. That's the best way I can state about what we will do.
Hey, the one I have my eye on is Tessa Blanchard, and I think she'd be a great NWA World Women's Champion. And it was so cool to see both Magnum and Tully at All In. Did you get some footage of that?
We have a little bit. Again, we want to grow as people grow. But I have some of Tessa's story from the press conference and all that stuff. She's gotten real hot, obviously, in the last little bit. I know she's got an Impact contract and a WOW contract and a here and there, but I think the world of her talent, and she's so young, and I think that women like her, and just so everybody knows, I don't want to avoid mentioning her name. Jazz is the last NWA Women's Champion.
That's right.
She's got a great story to tell, and one that I hope we can explore.
Oh my God, that's right.
She was just on Women's Pro Wrestling Weekly.
That's right. She was just on our one of my. I think TK was here when you were here. Yeah. She has Women's Pro Wrestling Weekly now, and I think Jazz was just on.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's lots of great stories at various ages and experience levels, and it is as much as 10 Pounds of Gold has been such a passion project. That's one that I've been patient with, not to rush. I've shot various things with various women across, I did a little small package on Madison Rain for Cody's YouTube channel. Right. To me, that's very important if you really want to tell a woman's story, that it is from their point of view. And I think that has not always been the case.
Is there anything that you thought you shot that you needed for airing a segment or something, that when you got back and went through the footage, it wasn't there and you had to figure out how to fill the gap?
All the time. There's, I will overshoot. Like, for example, there's a series of shots with a referee that I shot in the UK that I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to use it, but I might use it. You never know what will be usable or not. Even from Denise asking Nick, are you going to be all in? I knew I'd probably use that, because I knew the story. Same all the way back to Sam Roberts, because at that time we knew we were potentially doing it. Now, if we weren't going to, I probably wouldn't have used it. So everything is fair game. And even to the point now, people are volunteering footage. I've had fans say, hey, I'd love to you use my camera phone footage in 10 Pounds of Gold from when Cody won the title, because I think that shows, I think there was like an NFL commercial I saw that used that technique. And it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be authentic to the moment. And that Cody reaction when he won was authentic to the moment.
That's awesome.
And, you talk about having the best story possible. Can't wait to see how many stories develop October 21st. And, of course, this Sunday, Cody's first television appearance as NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So.
Yep, at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, we'll do a special meet and greet after for everybody who's ever been. It's, the Ocean View Pavilion's about an hour outside LA, but this will be worth it, And
it's Hollywood adjacent.
It's
Dave.
Always worth it. It's always worth it.
Dave, anything real quick before we get going, because we're at the end of the show now.
Good. Did you do anything with the footage you shot?
Everyone's support to me has meant so much to all of us, and Billy especially. The one thing we didn't have at All In was Billy to be there,
right?
And it was real hard for him because, here he is on this giant tour that gained all this steam, and he just finished it literally yesterday, I think, or Sunday. And he's already off doing more music stuff. And then he's going to go home and rehearse for he's got 2 European dates. And then literally he's flying from the European date, hopefully to Nashville for the anniversary show.
I wonder if that affects his gig, like his set when like he's out here playing in front of a packed house, but like his mind is in Chicago, right?
He
For
is.
All In.
I had the pleasure of being on the front third of the tour. I think 9 of the first 14 shows. It's especially that show. If anybody saw it, it was a 3 hour and 50. He played for 3 hours and 50 minutes straight, and he ain't sitting at a piano for 3:15. He's playing guitar.
Right.
I mean, it was a pretty hard show. You know, his commitment. He works harder than when I think I'm working hard. I spend a day with him and go, okay. Because even when he finishes the show, he'll be up for 3 hours after.
That's right.
And then he's up working on new music at 6 a.m.
Oh my God.
So, you know, when people go after him for the silliness, they don't really know what he's capable of. But yeah, he like I'll get messages from him at 4 a.m. when he's on the bus. Hey, what if we try this? Or I watch this. Like, he is so committed to this. And especially in a business where everyone wanted his money and didn't want his help to grow their businesses.
Right. Yeah.
We've built a business from zombie status. I'm not going to say the NWA was ever dead, but zombie status to being a living, breathing entity when everyone said it was dead.
It was dead. Come on, let's be honest, Dave. Regardless of whether people were going around masquerading and saying they were NWA this or that, the brand was dead, man. You guys, you resurrected it. It wasn't like, oh, it was just, you know, on life support. No, it was dead. Let's be honest about it, Dave.
Well, I don't say anything because I don't people's opinions on where it was, because also I don't want to open a window of where they think where it's at now. All I know is every at bat we get, we're doing something that we know that people will enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think if you create anything and that is not your singular goal, and if you're literally starting with, well, what are they going to pay for this? Then ultimately the people smell that and go, I'm all right. So.
Yeah. Hey, so Dave, thank you so much, man. It was great and a really timely, you know, for you to come on the show this morning.
Appreciate it, and you know, I hope you guys will be able to have, you know, Nick and Cody on
for sure,
closer, and you know, hopefully Billy and you know, Tim Storm, and you honestly never know who's going to pop up in that national title match.
Can't wait.
I think it'll be really interesting.
So yeah, man. Like I said, congratulations on taking and thank you. I not just congratulations and pat on the backs, but from somebody in the industry that loves this industry. Thank you to you, Billy, everyone involved, Tim Storm, Nick, everyone, for helping. You know,
you guys are
make
involved,
this.
You know what I mean? Like that was the point of involving everybody in the story.
Yeah,
and that's the most fun, is that everybody's involved in this.
And this has made the business a better business. Mm-hmm. And thank you for that, Dave.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And have an awesome rest of your day, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, Dave Lagana, everyone. Yeah.
That was excellent.
All right, man. All right, so let's just get out of here while we're on a
follow
good note.
Sean on social media at @TheRealXpac. Use the hashtag X-Pac12360 if you want to share your thoughts about this episode or any other episode. Go to youtube.com/X-Pac. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Get us to 1,000 and we're going to do a pin giveaway.
Yeah, something like that.
Some kind of giveaway.
Nice.
Upcoming dates in Lowell, Mass. September 14th, Friday, September 14th. Pro Wrestling Super Show Summer Showdown.
Yeah, I'll be there with Scott and Kev.
Scott and Kevin. Tickets at brownpapertickets.com. And then Sauget, Illinois. Is that how you say it? Friday, October 19th for Glory Pro Wrestling with Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton, Vicious and Delicious. Ticketweb.com for all your info on that. Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth.
Awesome. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been dropping comments on my Expo Lucha interviews. They have been absolutely incredible. I'm so blown away by them. So thank you so much to you guys. But make sure to follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo.
Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, as you know, this Sunday. Also watch it worldwide on Fight TV. And Blackcraft Wrestling's next pay-per-view, Burning Bridges, Friday, October 5th. Buy tickets at blackcraftwrestling.com in Anaheim.
Hey, did we give Instagram and all that stuff too?
Instagram is
it's
X-Pac12360.
X-Pac12360 show.
Boom.
At Real X-Pac. At It's Baby Lula. At The Real X-Pac.
Mark Donica.
Mark, go ahead. Might as well.
You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. I host an NXT show on AfterBuzz TV. If you want to talk a little bit more about that or get on my Jinder Mahal opinions, find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica.
All right. Well, we'll see you right here next week on X-Pac12360. AfterBuzz TV, Jericho Network, Westwood One.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter @TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.